Hello dance parents, I hope you've had a great week so far. This is the presentation regarding our recital information. Thank you for being patient with me as I worked on getting this to you guys as quick as possible. So we're going to jump right in. The agenda for what I will be going through today in this video is the recital theme reveal, some important dates, some expenses that come along with being in recital, the costume timeline, the costume reveal, talking about solos, duets, and trios, and the requirements to take part in those, and then our private lesson breakdown, and then the roles involved in The Greatest Showman, and then recital food, centerpieces, and what to expect in the near future. So our recital theme is The Greatest Showman. I'm really thrilled that we did get the copyright for this movie, so we will be showing the videos and using the music. As far as it goes for families, you guys are welcome to record your dancer during their performances, but that is not to be mass-produced or replicated. Some important dates you should know. On Wednesday, June 5th, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., we will have our first rehearsal. They'll be wearing their black leotards and pink tights for this one, but it is a longer practice time. We run through the show 2 or 3 times, and we try to narrow down all the little kinks and flaws as far as lighting goes, on and off stage, but we'll get into that more as the semester goes on. The second date is Saturday, June 8th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We will be having dress rehearsal. This is where your dancer will be expected to be in full costume and makeup. As you can see, it's on a Saturday morning. This will take place of our regularly scheduled dance class. The next important date that we have is Tuesday, June 11th. From 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. We'll be doing a movie night in the auditorium for the dancers to watch The Greatest Showman just a few days before their recital. And during this time, I'm going to have parents help me with some setup. Last year, this consisted of like rolling up silverware and putting them in napkins, and just those little tasks that'll really help me move everything along and make sure that we have a great performance. Next, we have recital set up for Thursday, June 13th, from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then we have the recital from 4 p.m., which is the dancer's call time, to 8 p.m. The doors will open at 5 p.m. So once again, the dancers will need to be at Calvary at 4 p.m. and the doors to get to your seats will open at 5 p.m. So some expenses that come with being in recital are the costume. They're typically about $60. If you choose to do private lessons, you have to do a minimum of 4, so that comes to $40. If you do get a solo costume, that's $60. And then we have our dinner tickets, which are $10. Some optional things that we're going to talk about this semester and decide as a group is if we would like to have a recital day photographer. The hope for that is we would get a photographer to come in and photograph your dancer on stage, and then afterwards you'd have the option to purchase their photos or go online and view those photos that they took and then purchase them that way. I want to make sure that this is something that we're interested in before we have a photographer come out and devote their time to our program. But again, we'll revisit that as the year comes along. Additionally, if we would like to have childcare outside of the dancers, so if you had children coming to the show with you to view the show, and you would rather them spend time in our childcare facilities, we do have the option of that. However, we would have to hire some staff for that. The preschool staff that is associated with Calvary, and that would be $5 per child. Something that we've also mentioned in the past is getting a travel cover-up. So each year I ask the dancers to have their costumes on and then put a button-up shirt over that. This just helps so that if they're snacking in the green room or they decide to wipe some of their makeup off, they don't wipe that on their costumes. If they're using the restroom, it's just a safety precaution to make sure that their costumes stay clean. So if that is something that we are interested in as a group, we could talk about purchasing some button-ups and adding some logos. We could do any color, but I'd like you to just keep those three in mind as we progress through the semester. So some information about costumes for you returning parents. You've seen this before, but the first thing that I do is I tell our Styles in Motion consultant that we have some costumes in mind, and then from there I will tell her the sizes once I have the complete list of sizes from your dancers. After that, I will share the prices with you, and once I share that price, within 2 weeks your money is due. So that means if this coming Saturday I told you the costumes are $63, 2 weeks after that I would expect a check made out to Calvary Baptist with your costume amount. Now if this puts a financial burden on your family and you really need some help figuring out some payment plans as far as costume goes, that's definitely something I'm happy to explore with you on a one-on-one basis. Continually, then I pay Styles in Motion, and then she gives me a final approval of the order, and I wait for them to arrive. That just depends on the availability of each costume, how much they have in stock. If all is well and all costumes are in stock, then it takes 2 to 3 weeks. Then I will receive those costumes and I will steam and fluff them for you guys. We will designate a day, typically right after dance class, our regularly scheduled dance class, to have all of the students try on their costumes, make sure everything fits. And dependent on when those costumes come in, if they come in super early, then I tend to hold on to them for just a little bit longer. This is to help prevent temptations of little girls wanting to wear their costumes and play dress up in them. And then I will release them a little bit closer to the rehearsal or dress rehearsal. We will add those dates to the calendar as I have more information about those. So now for the costume reveal. This is the Mommy and Me costume. As you can see, there's 2 different types of skirts. This is the skirt that will be underneath, that's attached to the costume, and this is a little slip-on over the top. So it's a 2-in-1. Here's the level A costume. And the level B costume. This costume is just like the Mommy and Me costume, where it has a removable skirt, a removable tutu, so it is a 2-in-1 as well. And here is the costume for our boys. This will be for our level B boy dancers and our level A boy dancers, and then they will all receive top hats. So moving on to solos, duets, and trios. Some of the requirements are you must attend 4 private lessons. They must be able to memorize 45 seconds worth of choreography. They must be confident on stage. I ask if they're 5 years or older. I'm willing to make some exceptions to this rule, but that is after an individual evaluation of each student. You must be willing to practice at home, and families, I ask that all families attend private lessons. So this just means one guardian comes with the dancer to their private lesson. This really helps me assure that we can film videos of them practicing so they have something to refer to when they get home. And I've noticed that it really helps when we have parents learning the choreography along with their student. That way when they get home, they're hearing the same vocabulary as they experience with me during that private lesson. So, a breakdown of our private lessons. The first private lesson is a costume review, a music explanation, a movie viewing, and a skills test. So, as this worked last year, I had, for example, one dancer who was Belle. So I showed her her yellow costume. We played through the music so she could hear it out and kind of get a sense of what she would be dancing to. And then we watched the portion of the movie again so she could get an idea of what she's going to be portraying on stage. And then the skills test just consists of me taking them up on stage and seeing what skills they perform the best. That way when I'm making their choreography, it's really fit to the area that they will thrive in. Additionally, for the second private lesson, I teach 30 seconds of the routine. For the third private lesson, I focus on the memorization. So we kind of go back and review, and I ask them, all right, go ahead and show me what you learned during your second private lesson, and I see what they know. And then from there we do a little bit of a review, and I teach them, I add any finishing touches to that choreography, making sure that they get those little things right. And then if it works out to our benefit, we add the finishing touches, so an additional 15 seconds to their routine. And again, it's really minimal corrections at this point. I'm more focused on their memorization. During the fourth lesson, this is when a lot of the cleaning goes on. So again, I'm asking them to perform what they remember. And then I'm really going in and I'm nitpicking. I'm making sure every arm is in place and every toe is pointed. And then, as that is all that would be expected of the dancer for their solo, unless either you as the parent or the dancer or the choreographer feels it necessary for them to have an additional lesson. So this is where we would either go back and really focus on memorization or focus in on a certain skill that they could not develop quite in time. Or if we really think they're thriving and everything looks great, we can add on more to their choreography. I've noticed in the history of working on these private lessons, 45 seconds is kind of the limit as far as it goes for the dancer's ability to memorize them and really perform it well on stage. But by this fifth lesson, that's kind of where we get to decide, like, if they will be able to push through and learn some more choreography. This might be better off for our older dancers who have performed solos before. But that's kind of a come as the time comes, we will decide if that is necessary. So here is part 1 to our video. There will be a part 2 here shortly.